Hello, my love, and welcome back to the podcast growth series. We are finally talking about monetization, and I'm super excited to pour into you today. Make sure that you have a notebook and pen ready to take notes. And my recommendation here is that when you get a breakthrough, when you get an idea, write that down. Don't feel like you need to write down everything I say because obviously this is a recording and you can come back and listen to it whenever you need to. But if you do have that breakthrough that like, ooh, that was really good, then make sure that you have something to write, that idea down because trust me, it'll go away. Now, I need to set something straight before we go on. Up until this point, we have had basically 5 episodes where I'm laying down all the steps that come before you start monetizing a podcast. I did not start with episode 1, how to make money podcasting, because it's not going to happen, right? Like you need to have other steps in place before you start to monetize. And something that I need you to understand is that podcasting for the sake of podcasting is not going to make you money. And 2, just because you started a podcast doesn't mean that you're going to monetize the way you think you're going to monetize. Monetizing a podcast takes strategy. And I feel like there are way too many people in this podcasting world that are telling podcasters that build it and it will come, and start podcasting and figure it out later. The reality is, just because, you have spent time and energy and you're being consistent and you have really good microphone and really good editing, doesn't mean you're going to monetize your podcast. It doesn't mean that people are going to start reaching out to you to, put ads and sponsorships on your show. So it does take commitment. Yes. It does take you pouring into your audience, yes, but it also does take strategy, which is what we're going to cover today. So, how many ways can you monetize a podcast? Well, there are infinite ways. I'm going to focus on a few today. Of course, everybody knows about ads and sponsorships. There are a few different platforms where you can use to run ads. So, like, let's say if you have your podcast on Spotify for podcasters, you can monetize through there. If you have it on Buzzsprout or Podbean or whatever, you can monetize through there through ads that they'll automatically place on your content if you wish to do so. You're not going to get paid a lot of money. I honestly don't think it's worth it because it's just, honestly, let's just be real here for a second. You're going to make pennies on the download, and it's not going to be a good experience for your listener. So I'm not here for those ads. The next way is sponsorships, and that means that you are working with a brand and they're giving you money for you to talk about their product. Keep in mind that this also can be pennies on the download. Usually they're looking at 1,000 downloads per episode before they even want to talk to you. If you have like a really niche committed audience, they might not need the 1,000 downloads. But the point is, you need to work hard for that. It's not something that just happens. Most people are not starting podcasts and getting 1,000 downloads right off the bat. Okay, there's a lot of things. Like I said, we are on episode 6 of this series right now, right? Like there are a lot of things that you have to do. There are a lot of steps that you have to take before you can start to think about monetizing your podcast and getting to 1,000 downloads per episode right off the bat. It's not something that's likely to happen to most people. So if you do go into the sponsorship side of things, I highly recommend that you partner up with brands that you are super excited about. Do not do one-off deals. Look for longevity, look for commitment, look for ways to work out contracts that not only benefit them but also benefit you. Like I said, I'm not here for one-off things. I think once you go that route, it just becomes really messy. Companies can get very picky about how you say things, how you word things, and you don't want to be in a situation where you have to record, the same episode 15 times because the company on the other side doesn't like how you said a certain thing, which is why I'm telling you right now, work out a deal, think about longevity, and do not go for one episode just because, oh yeah, I want to partner up with this brand because they're really cool and they're really fun and it's just so cool and so trendy for me to be sponsored by them. Okay, we are looking here for contracts, okay, for long-term contracts, something that you're talking about again and again and again on your podcast for months to come. Okay, that is going to be the best way for you to go about this. And of course, don't just feel like that just because somebody wants to offer you a certain amount of money that you have to agree to that. I mean, if you're okay with what they're offering you, go for it. If not, work out terms too. Like, you don't have to agree to what they're saying just because you are allowed to negotiate things. Okay, so don't get, starstruck when companies start reaching out to you or somebody finally says yes to you. This is your podcast and you are allowed to work out deals that benefit you as well. Oh, another thing that I should have started with, but it just popped into my head, is this. There's this idea in the online space, in the podcasting space, that for you to be considered a legit podcast, you have to have sponsorships and ads on your show. Oh my gosh, no. Okay, like, let's just get rid of this idea right now. I don't know who came up with it. It's not true. It is absolutely not true that you need to have that on your show in order for it to be a legit show. There are many shows out there who are amazing shows and they don't have ads and sponsorships. So please get this idea out of your head. You are a legit show. If you are pouring into people, if you have value to add, you are a legit show. So I don't know who came up with that idea, but we are not here for that. Now, my favorite way to monetize a podcast is with your own products and your own services. So if you are a service provider, this is obviously my favorite type of podcast that I like to work with. This is my favorite type of podcaster to work with because it's just very easy for you to start monetizing your show from day one. We have an offer that we're gonna offer to our public and we just get to work it into our podcast. Remember what I said in the beginning, podcasting for the sake of podcasting doesn't do anything for you. And when you are a service provider, you go into the podcasting space with a goal in mind, which is my podcast is my lead generator. It is a funnel for me. So you make the podcast a place where you market your services. It doesn't become this thing where it's just sitting here on the side and it's this extra thing that you're doing and it doesn't serve a purpose. I see this again and again when people that they want to start a podcast and they get excited about the idea. I know maybe they listen to Smartless or whatever and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to do what these guys are doing and I'm going to do a bunch of interviews. And I'm like, okay, but how are we going to monetize this thing? You have to think about these things before you go into podcasting, because it's really not a given that you're just going to start making money with your podcast, which is why you need to have a plan. And like I said, when you are a service provider, your podcast is part of what you do. It's part of a bigger vision, right? It's part of how you market your services and your products to your ideal clients. So that is the easiest way to monetize a podcast by far, is if you are a service provider and you have products and services, you want to get more clients. Podcasting is great for that. Now, let's say you are not a service provider. What do? So you can still monetize your podcast with products that you sell. So maybe you do have, let's say you have a ministry podcast and you have a membership community where you minister to people. That could be a way to monetize your podcast. You can do like a low-cost membership and you could monetize your podcast that way. Let's say you could sell merchandise, you could sell journals. There's so many things, there's so many ways that you can monetize your podcast beyond ads and sponsorships. It's just a matter of thinking, okay, what does my ideal listener need? What would serve them? What would really make a difference in their lives? And listen, by the way, when I say make a difference in their lives, I do not mean that we're trying to solve all the world's problems right now and solve world hunger and cancer. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we often overlook small things that we can do that really make a huge difference to somebody else. And let me just cut off on a sidebar here and say that joy is something that is so like we're so deprived of joy in our world today. It's just like not conducive for joy anymore. So sometimes, you can create like this very simple product, or this very simple thing that can just bring somebody so much joy, because it simplified their lives. It gave them a breakthrough. It helped them solve a problem that they had been having for a while. And it doesn't have to be like a huge problem. Like, let's say you created a printable for staying organized, and it was like life-changing for somebody, and that the biggest thing here is that you brought somebody joy. So think about, what is it that you sell? What is it that you could sell to a person that could bring them joy? What is it that could simplify their life? The ultimate, again, the ultimate byproduct is joy. So I don't want you to get caught up here on, oh my gosh, I started this podcast and I didn't know how I'm going to monetize it, and now how do I monetize it? Just stop, take a second, and think about your person, and write down things that you can help them with right now, so that you can start selling that thing on your podcast, whether that is a membership, or like a physical product like merchandise. It could be that you're selling one-on-one calls with them. It could be a digital product, like whatever. Like, the sky really is the limit here, and it's just a matter of you being creative. And please be creative. Don't go to ChatGPT for this, because everybody is going to ChatGPT and everybody's getting the same ideas, because, guys, it's a robot, okay? And you are creative. You're made in the image of a creator. You are creative by design. So get creative. Like, this is a time for you to like embrace your hippie self, okay? And I'm a hippie, so I can tell you this. Get barefoot, go in the grass, go to the beach. I don't know, hug a tree if you have to, but like, embrace the creative side of yours. Like, I'm saying go to nature so that you can ground yourself into nature, and allow the creativity to flow through you, so that you can find out how you can monetize your podcast, how your podcast can be a funnel, how your podcast can be sustainable to your bigger mission. Because podcast is going to wear you out if you just keep showing up day after day after day, hoping for one day for sponsorships to come flying in your inbox, because it's not usually how it works. And another thing I want to add is, if you are waiting for those sponsorships to happen, stop. Okay, you have to reach out to them. Don't sit here and wait. Reach out to them first. Okay, don't wait for a deal to come knock on your door. You reach out to ideal people that you want to work with, and just strike up a conversation and see what it is that they're looking for. We're done waiting. Okay, we're done being passive. We are in our active era. Now, going back to what I was saying before about being a service provider, make sure that you are promoting your offers in your podcast. And if you need help with this, by the way, you really should consider joining my program, the Profitable Podcast Blueprint, because I walk you through everything that I've been walking through you on this journey so far, on this podcast growth series. I talk about that inside of my program. And it really truly is from the foundational pieces all the way to monetizing your podcast and turning that into a well-oiled machine, so that your podcast becomes your biggest and best funnel. And not only do you have the program side of things, where you can go back to the lessons again and again, however many times you need, you also have me as your coach. We are inside a group coaching container. We meet live twice a month, and we do have a group as well, a private group, where if you have a question, you need, to bounce ideas off of me, or, anybody else in the group, we have a group for that too. And the group is always available. So you have so much support. And not only that, I don't do, there are people out there who will do, like, you buy this course and you have 6 months to finish it, or you have 1 year to finish, or whatever. I'm not here for that. If they do an upgrade to the course and you want that upgrade, you have to pay for that. I don't do that. You pay your fee, and then you have lifetime coaching, you have lifetime access to the program, you have lifetime access to all the updates that I create. So if you're ready for the full support, then the Profitable Podcast Blueprint is the place you want to be, because that's where you're going to get a lot of support and a lot of growth, and everything that I talk about inside of this podcast growth series is inside of the program, but in depth, and like all the little details, me showing you step by step how to do things. So going back to what I was saying about you being a service provider and you pitching your offer on your podcast, or even if you're not a service provider, but you are, monetizing your podcast with your own product, you need to pitch your product in your show. And by the way, did you notice that I just pitched my product in the podcast? And if I had not pitched my product on this particular episode, you wouldn't have known that I have a way for you to work with me. So it's important that you let people know how to work with you, and it doesn't have to be, this commercial, like this, something awkward, something weird, something they say, okay, by the way, if you want to work with me, come work with me, link in the show notes, talk about it. Like, I just gave you a pitch. I don't know how long I pitched for, let's say a minute and a half. And I just let you know what's in it for you, how it's going to help you. This is a program that I fully stand behind, and I'm so proud of it. And if you join, you get to have, me, my support, my brains, everything that I do for my clients inside of the agency. I've taken all of the knowledge, plus, my 5 years of knowledge as a podcaster who grew without social media, who grew from zero without a following. Everything is inside of the program, and I'm very proud of it. So I'm letting you know, like, hey, if you want the extra support, that's where you have to be. So you have to not be afraid to let people know that you have an offer, because if you're just expecting people to listen to your podcast episode and fall in love with you and then come chasing you down the interwebs to find out how they can get more of you, no, we're not here for that. Like, most people are not doing that. You have to let people know how they can work with you. So make sure that you talk about whatever it is that you're selling. You make sure that you want to talk about that on your podcast. And please, I'm very against doing ads, because ads just break the flow of things. There's a reason why people pay premium for YouTube. There's a reason why people love Netflix over just, watching the whatever thing on cable TV, right? There's a reason why people pay for HBO versus, just getting the bootleg version on like regular TV, right? And like having the commercials between, because the commercials are super annoying. So make sure that when you are talking about your offer, that you're talking about it organically in your podcast episode, that you don't go into sales mode and you don't make weird, and that you don't wait until the end, or you don't just plug it in your outro. Make sure that you talk about it organically, that it is part of your episode, and that people understand that ultimately your product is going to help them get to their goal faster. So don't be afraid. People are just so afraid to talk about what it is that they do. I don't know why. Guys, like, take a deep breath, take a deep breath. This is how I monetize my podcast. I cannot tell you how many times people have, the majority of my clients come to me because of my podcast, because they listen to me on the show. They were like, oh my gosh, I heard you have this offer. How can I work with you? Like, this is how I get my clients. Guys, I'm not a household name. So I want you to get excited that Juliana is not a household name. Like, Juliana is not popular by any means. Juliana has 125 followers on Instagram. Okay. Like, guys, if I can do it, like, I am the epitome of, if I can do it, you can do it too. You just need to be strategic about it and stop getting in your own way. Okay, my love. Okay. So I have homework for you. I'm going to be emailing that to you today. Listen, my love, if you're not subscribed yet to get the homework prompts, make sure that you do. I'm going to make sure to leave that in the show notes for you. We have homework prompts every month for every single episode, and I send them out every single month. So by the way, somebody was having problems not getting the prompts. If that's you too, just email me and I'll send them your way. But I'm super excited because, we are halfway through, guys. We're halfway through this year, and we're halfway through our series together. And this is how we are gonna make progress in our podcast. And of course, monetization is the biggest part of the puzzle, because if we're not monetizing our podcast, then like, what is the goal? Like, I get that a lot of people are doing this for ministry, but even if you are in a ministry podcast, how great would it be if somebody else was sponsoring you, so that you could make this sustainable, so they can reach more people, so that you can grow your mission, So wherever you are on this journey, I'm excited for you. You're really going to enjoy this month's homework, and I cannot wait to meet you back here next month.